Good afternoon, everyone. For this assignment, week 4, assignment 3, the Professional Leadership Training Project, part 2, I decided to kind of challenge myself and stretch myself a little bit to work on presenting this to my board of directors in a few weeks. So excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. My name is Richard Mutz, and this is team building and conflict management. As I was previously stating, I wanted to make sure that I want to get, as we learn that presentation and the way we deliver our trainings and modules is very important, just as much as important as the content. So I wanted to continue to work on that. I will definitely follow up this slide deck, this brief slide deck, with a rough overview in a written form for upload and assignment submission. So as we get moving, this will be presented to a 12-man and woman board of directors for startup nonprofit called the Born Rich Foundation, which I founded in 2020. And there's been a lack of trust on my end as the leader, and obviously on their end, and a lack of commitment. And it all stems from that bottom tier of trust. So the name of the slide is the influence of trust in building or rebuilding a stable foundation. So the outline and agenda will be the what. We're going to tell you why we should want to know this information. I will explain to my board why this information is important in building that stable foundation and trust. Slide number 2 is the what. What are the details that we need to learn about the topic? What are the details that we need to learn to foster a transparent, conflict managing, empathetic, culturally humble organization where psychological safety and innovation is at the key? Part 3 will let us know, how do we have opportunities to practice understanding others? Just to preview this, the first part of my exercise, the first training explores understanding ourselves. This will be training module number 2 in the 12-month sessions. So part 1 will be understanding ourselves. Part 2, which is this one, will be understanding others. So how do we have opportunities to practice understanding others? And this will be an experiential activity that I really enjoy doing. And last is what does a home run look like? What if we better understand ourselves and others as leaders, then BRF or Born Rich Foundation will. What does a home run look like? What does the grand slam look like in the big scheme of things? So as we get moving is the why. The significance of understanding. I don't know why this is unformatted. I do apologize. I'll fix it before we upload. Understanding others will foster empathy, cooperation, and inclusivity. As we understand others, it will create a sense of cultural humility. Understanding the difference between cultural competence and humility was a game changer for me. And I really want to understand, really want my board members to understand, in order to understand others, sometimes we got to get down and dirty, roll up our sleeves, and actually get in the trenches. We can learn a lot by reading books and understanding the demographics and the data and analysis. Understandable. That is a competent level. But sometimes we have to get down and we have to get into the communities that we serve and sit down. If we don't know something about a community or a demographic, how about we interact with them and create that connection? So this process of self-reflection and openness to the openness to understanding and respecting diverse perspectives, backgrounds, and the experiences of others will create better programming, will create more of a humble approach to what we do as an organization. Belonging in a sense of shared purpose. This creates the trust on all avenues. As we create unity and collective identity within our organization, we'll feel a genuine connection to our common goals and a shared sense of belonging. Trust will be embedded in our cultural DNA, and it will be a staple of the Born Rich Foundation, where we all feel belonged. We all feel like we're working towards the same shared purpose, and we all feel like our voices are amplified. And most importantly, in my opinion, is understanding our duty as servant leaders. This is from a biblical perspective when it says we have to love our neighbors just as we love ourselves. And sometimes we have to make sacrifices for others. just grasping the unique needs and perspectives and aspirations of those we serve, understanding. We already understand. Once we understand ourselves, we can better learn how to understand people. We can understand our deficits and have that level of emotional intelligence that'll allow us to be humble or have that humility enough to even have the opportunities to understand others and things like that, and model after the blueprint that Jesus set before us. So slide 1 is understanding others. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. The what does understanding others do for the Born Rich Foundation? It creates innovation. And once again, sorry for the formatting. It wasn't like this when I downloaded. We can design programs and initiatives based on a deeper understanding of the community needs. So that thought diversity, that trust that we have in each other, that trust that we've done the work to understand the communities what we're serving. And obviously we can allocate the proper resources to the programs and services provided in more creative ways instead of just the generic by the book token funding allocations that happen so much in the nonprofit realm. Building trust and relationships. This is the foundational piece that we're going to start with. Just like Pat said, inside of our organization, if we encourage trust, open, transparent communication among team members, we can effectively have conflict resolution, empathy, and understanding towards each other's. That happens on the inside. As we foster that on the inside of our organization, on the outside, it will manifest in positive relationships with external stakeholders, better understanding their needs. Obviously, our organization will be reputable and one that is known as empathetic, understanding, and socially responsible. And it also develops trust among our customers, which is our communities. If you don't have trust within we're a community-based organization, and if our community doesn't trust us, then we're in trouble. With the sustainability, I added sustainability and metrics in here because I want to develop the measurements that consider the unique context for accurate outcomes and assessments. This is mostly not just looking at things from a surface level or the tip of that iceberg. We want to begin to decrease the water level and see the iceberg for what it is, not just looking at, I think it was Edgar Stein in one of his books, he called them artifacts, cultural artifacts. We can only see what we can see from our perspective. But once you really get into an organization, you can really see what's going on. So we want to look beyond just the artifacts, beyond the mission statement, beyond the value statement of our organization. And we really want to see if we're getting to the root causes and we're really addressing what needs to be addressed rather than just checking off boxes. In advocacy and awareness, we want to become agents of systemic change and raise awareness to community issues. Communities are constantly changing. The educational landscapes are constantly changing and they're all interconnected. So we must change with them. And we must have the ability to amplify the voices for the marginalized communities. A lot of these disenfranchised communities that we serve, they don't feel as though they have voices. So if we are unable to give them a voice, we want to be able to amplify their voice through us, but then also empower them to use their own voice. This is one of my favorite activities. It's called the Beads of Advantage. It's an experiential learning activity, which is more hands-on that I plan on doing with the board. And as we get together as a team, the purpose of the beads I don't even like to say the word privilege, because in the DEI space, the word privilege evokes some feelings that may be off-putting. And it's okay. But however, we want people to be present there and not checked out based off words. So we're going to change them to advantage, beads of advantage. This activity aims to explore how members of social identity groups experience privileges in the United States. It's not about guilt, it's not about shame, but it's to recognize that we all have some levels of advantage. This is a hands-on experiment or activity, and it explores and discusses diverse perspectives in fostering more awareness, more empathy. Through this activity, our board members will engage in thoughtful examination of our individual privileges and then align them with the foundation's commitment to understanding others and promoting inclusivity within the community. So basically, the punchline is this. We create 7 stations in a room. Each station has a color-coded beads that represent a privilege. For example, red would be our ability privilege. One of the questions may be, have you ever had to think about if a building has a ramp before you go to a building or something like that? Have you ever had to think about if there will be a translator at the doctor's office? Things like that. Sexuality privilege, gender, sex privileges, race privileges, religious privileges, class privileges. Have you ever had to use public transportation? And nationality privilege. Each of these statements describes one of the possible example of privileges related to the category system of oppression and privilege. So basically, each members goes around in their own reflective thoughts, gets a string, gets the color-coded beads, and there's 7 questions to go at each station. And if you answer yes to each question, you take a bead, and then you see where your privileges lie, and then you have a discussion post. I've done this activity before, and it kind of hit me. I had an aha moment when I was thinking of a great activity to do to bring an understanding of others. I did this activity and I didn't understand my privilege as a male. I didn't understand my religious privilege as a Christian. I didn't understand my privileges of ability. I don't have to think about how many stairs are at a building. I don't have to think about where the curb set lies, and just understanding my privileges from a socioeconomic, just understanding that and seeing it on your beads and seeing where your privilege lies, or my age privilege, kind of gives you a different perspective of what awareness of what some of the people go through. So I think this is going to be very eye-opening as community leaders in helping communities we serve. Finally, this is our home run. At the end of the day, our vision, our home run. What does a home run, a grand slam look like? What if the Born Rich Foundation Board of Directors collectively embrace a visionary approach centered on empathy and self-awareness? This is all to build trust within the organization and without. And we recognize that understanding ourselves will lay the foundation to that trust and enhance our abilities to comprehend others. So it starts with us. It starts with trust, and it starts with us self-reflecting, having that levels of emotional intelligence to be able to even be humble enough to go in there and say, okay, to listen enough to get out of our own egos to say, what I know is not enough. We have to do more. So open communication. This is the vision, to have a team that's openly communicating, transparent, empathetic communication becomes the cornerstone to the Born Rich Foundation. Healthy conflict is embraced. There's an environment of trust and openness. There's a sense of connection which will lead to innovation, and there's vulnerability at the leadership positions, excuse me. This leads to creative and community empowerment programs. And what if the board redirects the foundation's focus towards a holistic community empowerment? What that means is BRF becomes a catalyst for sustainable change, and it's rooted in a deep understanding of the communities we serve. We've done the work. We've gotten the foxhole with the people that we serve. We've made an opportunity. We've gotten opportunities to be able to connect with people outside, to know better what to do inside. There's levels of trust on all ends, and our programs will be designed to address immediate needs, but also to understand and eliminate the root causes. Yes, as a nonprofit, we do have to address those rapid response needs, but we also want to get to the root causes of these things. Second to last, leadership retreats and workshops, consistent trainings like this, we're developing now, consistent professional development or self-development. The board will initiate leadership retreats and workshops for fostering cultural humility, self-reflection, and trust. Hey, with that being said, sometimes it's good just to get away from the workspace and understand each other as human beings. So we want to implement that, though, at least once or twice a year. We do exercises is encouraging open dialogue about personal values, our fears, our aspirations. Connect with each other on a human level to build that trust. Create a culture of vulnerability and authenticity among all of our board members. Those two words, vulnerability and authenticity, are key to building trust. And finally, create thought diversity at the decision-making table. This is an inclusive approach. This is the most inclusive approach to everything. We actively seek diverse perspectives, recognizing the value of different experiences and backgrounds. Sometimes when we serve on boards or we serve on different committees, sometimes we feel stifled. We may not feel as though our expertise or the number of years we've served, we may not have a voice, but I believe in something called fresh eyes and fresh perspective. Sometimes we can be in this for so long that we can be in this realm, this scope or the sector for so long that we become jaded and we just kind of go with what the traditional norms are. But there is value in fresh perspective or that unique thinking outside of the box, being commitment to diversity, which means being as an organization, if we're committed to diversity, we will have more of an inclusive decision-making process, which means more innovations, more thought diversity, more everything enhanced on a great level. Our foundation will become a model for embracing diversity and collaboration. At the end of the day, everything revolves around trust. So I know this went on a little longer as I thought. Like I said, I'm sorry about the typos and the other misformats. I'll get that cleaned up, but I definitely want to refine my process before it's submitted to the board in about 7 weeks when we do the training. But thank you all. We appreciate it, and I'll see you all in class.